On Wednesday evening, champagne bubbles rise to my nose as I freeze in my sister's living room. Jessica's words echo in my head. Difficult to absorb. Our parents have transferred the house to her. The glass slips from my hand. Falling toward the hardwood floor Jessica had insisted on refinishing only weeks ago. The crash silences the room, all eyes turning toward me as champagne spreads like an unspoken truth. Jessica, one hand resting over her small pregnancy bump, looks at me with a mix of irritation and triumph. Her boyfriend nods beside her while my parents suddenly study the ceiling. My face turns pale, lips parting but unable to form words. The room blurs slightly as I try to make sense of what Jessica just announced, claiming a future that was meant to be mine. What do you mean transferred? My voice sounds faint, unfamiliar even to me. The deed is in my name. Jessica laughs sharply, dismissive. That was only temporary for paperwork? Mom steps closer, hands fluttering nervously. You're still young, Emmy. You'll buy another. Jessica needs stability for the baby. My eyes drift to the mantel, where framed mortgage documents sit in full view. My mortgage, the papers I signed after emptying my savings to save my family from foreclosure, a crisis that now feels more deliberate than desperate. For 11 years, I worked double shifts in Denver General's ICU, 11 years of missed holidays, delayed birthdays, and strained relationships, all while saving every possible dollar. I kept a small notebook in my scrubs pocket, carefully tracking progress toward my dream home. By last April, I had saved $182,000, enough for a strong down payment in a neighborhood I loved. I scheduled viewings for that weekend. But then the call came. Emmy, we're losing the house, Mom had cried. Only 30 days left. I canceled the viewings, withdrew my entire savings, and put $182,000 into a $370,000 house. I took on a $188,000 mortgage solely in my name. The attorney slid the documents toward me with a smile. Congratulations. Ms. Sullivan, you're a homeowner. And now Jessica stands here, claiming that same home. That's my house, I say, my voice gaining strength. I paid for it. I signed the papers. Dad clears his throat, stepping forward with his usual condescending tone. Emily, don't make a scene. Family helps family. Jessica strokes her stomach again, almost theatrically. My baby needs a stable home. You still have your apartment. The apartment I kept only because they asked for time to move from the old house. The apartment that was meant to be temporary until I found tenants for the home I bought. How is this possible? I demand, feeling every gaze in the room. The deed was in my name. Mom lifts her glass with a forced smile. Come on, everyone. A toast to Jessica's new beginning. Just like that, the focus shifts. Glasses rise. Voices congratulate. I stand apart, champagne seeping into my shoes, my future taken in a single announcement. Quietly, I step back, hands shaking as I pull out my phone. I text my cousin Sarah, the only relative who has ever stood by me. Something's very wrong. Need help. Her reply comes quickly. Meet me tomorrow. Bring any paperwork you have. Across the room, Jessica accepts praise like royalty. Mom refills glasses. Dad tells his favorite story about Jessica's first word being home. No one notices me standing alone, watching them celebrate what cost me everything. My savings, my sacrifice, my future. But as I observe them, something changes inside me. A quiet determination builds with every passing second. They believe this is finished. They assume I'll accept this. Betrayal as I've accepted so many others. They're wrong. My heart beats fast as I slip back into my parents' house through the side entrance. The celebration continues in the living room, laughter drifting down the hallway like a toxic cloud. I glance at my watch, 11 minutes until someone realizes I'm missing. The door to Mom's office creaks slightly as I push it open. Moonlight filters through the blinds, leaving shadowed lines across the antique desk where family decisions have always been made, without me. A sound in the hallway makes me freeze. Footsteps pause, then move on toward the kitchen. Holding my breath, I step behind the desk and pull the chain on the small lamp. Think like a nurse, I remind myself. When patients conceal symptoms, we look for tangible proof. Mom has always been meticulous with documents, a habit I inherited. Every mortgage statement, every bill, is stored in neatly labeled folders in the oak cabinet. The top drawer slides open with a familiar rasp. My hand moves across organized tabs. utilities, insurance, medical, until I reach real estate. I pull the thick folder, nearly dropping it as voices grow louder in the hall. Emmy's probably just in the bathroom, Jessica says, her voice sharp. You know how she gets when she's upset, always hiding instead of dealing with things directly. I crouch on the floor behind the desk, clutching the folder to my chest. When the voices fade, I spread the papers across the carpet. There's the original purchase of the family home and recent mortgage statements showing my payments. Then I see it, the warranty deed listing me clearly as owner. Next to it, a quitclaim deed supposedly signed by me, transferring ownership to Jessica Sullivan, but it isn't my signature. The looping E is wrong, missing its familiar tail. My hands tremble as I photograph each page, the flash briefly blinding me in the dim room. Behind the deeds, a letter on attorney letterhead catches my attention. I scan it, my nurse's training steadying my breathing even as anger builds. Advise against this action. Possible fraud. Forgery carries serious penalties. Footsteps approach again. Quickly, I return the folder to its place and slip out the side door, escaping as the office light flicks on behind me. Need the rest of that coffee? Sarah asks the next morning, nodding to my untouched mug. We sit in a quiet booth at Denny's. Her friend Michael, an attorney, studies the photos on my phone, his expression darkening with each swipe. This is clear fraud, he says firmly. The signature isn't even close. Did you authorize this transfer? Nothing, I reply. I only signed the original mortgage. Sarah excuses herself to make a call, showing her county employee badge. I've worked with records for years. They'll help us. While she's gone, Michael explains the legal consequences, making my stomach churn. A quitclaim deed transfers your interest in property to someone else. But with this forgery, he shakes his head. Sarah returns, her face flushed. That foreclosure notice on your parents' home? It never existed. I checked records for 3 years. What? The word leaves my mouth as a whisper. Michael's jaw tightens. They built an entire lie to take your savings. The evidence hits me in waves. My mother's handwriting on the forged notes. Jessica's name on every transfer. My father's passive signature as witness. Your mother organized this, Michael says quietly. Jessica may gain, but the planning, it's your mother's work. Stay with me, Sarah offers, reaching across the table. You can use my guest room. I'll file emergency papers to freeze the property, Michael adds, waving off my attempt to pay. We'll recover costs once we win. Back at the hospital, my colleague Deborah appears at my locker with a casserole. The ICU team is with you, Emmy, she says softly. My phone buzzes with a message from my father. Your mother is having chest pains from the stress. Is this what you want? Before I can respond, Jessica's text arrives. If you fight this, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of sister you are. That evening, a certified letter lands from the family's attorney, threatening a countersuit for harassment and false claims. In Sarah's guest room, I lie awake under moonlit shadows. I still love them, I whisper when Sarah checks in. How could they do this? Because they thought they could get away with it, she replies, sitting beside me. Sleep never comes. I trace the cracks in the ceiling, replaying family dinners and holidays, searching for the signs I missed. By morning, clarity replaces exhaustion. I pull my nurse's notebook from my bag. On a fresh page, I write 3 words. Evidence, strategy, justice. They don't get to take my future, I tell my reflection in Sarah's bathroom mirror. Not without a fight. What would you do if you discovered your own family had taken your home? Would you confront them face to face, or reach out for legal help first? The following Monday, the hospital lobby hums with its usual morning rush, visitors juggling coffee cups, staff moving quickly between units, the squeak of wheelchairs against polished floors. I'm at the nurse's station reviewing a patient file when Deborah touches my shoulder, her face tense. Emily, she whispers. Your mom and sister are downstairs. Security's been called, my stomach clenches. After 3 days of unanswered calls and texts, they've brought the conflict straight to my workplace. I hand the chart to Deborah, smooth my scrubs, and steady myself. The elevator doors open. My mother steps out, theatrically dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Beside her, Jessica rests one hand on her barely showing belly, the other gripping an oversized purse. A few visitors turn, curious. Emmy, my mother cries, her voice echoing across the lobby. Why are you destroying this family after everything we've done for you? I walk toward them slowly, aware of all the eyes on me. This isn't the place for this conversation, I say evenly. Jessica steps forward, now cradling her stomach with both hands, her face twisted in feigned distress. The stress could hurt the baby, Emily. Is that what you want? Please lower your voices, I respond, noticing Carl from security hovering nearby. Mother's tone sharpens, her tears suddenly less convincing. We wouldn't need to be here if you answered our calls. Your father hasn't slept in days worrying about what you're doing to us. Nurses passing by slow to watch. A couple of my ICU colleagues stand near the coffee cart, observing. This was their goal, to embarrass me in public and pressure me into backing down. I've asked you to leave, I state firmly. Not until you stop this ridiculous legal action, Mother snaps, seizing my wrist. Her grip bites into my skin. Carl steps in. Ladies, you'll need to go. We can't allow disturbances near patients. My daughter works here, Mother protests loudly. I have every right. You can visit her on break, Carl replies evenly, but disruption is against hospital policy. Jessica bursts into fresh tears. She's trying to take my babies home after everything we've done for her. The claim is so absurd I almost laugh. Carl ushers them toward the exit while Mother keeps up her act for the audience. Your sister needs that house, Emily. The baby needs stability. How can you be so selfish? The doors close behind them, but whispers spread across the lobby. I stand frozen until Nurse Wilson gently touches my elbow. Dr. Wilson wants to see you, she says softly. I'll cover your patients. The walk to the hospital director's office feels endless. Colleagues either avoid my eyes or give me sympathetic looks. Work has always been my escape from family turmoil. Until now. Dr. Wilson's assistant waves me straight in. I brace myself for reprimand. Emily, Dr. Wilson greets, rising from his desk. His lined face shows concern, not anger. Please sit. I perch on the chair's edge, hands clasped tight. I'm sorry for the disturbance, sir. It won't happen again. That's not why I asked you here. He leans forward. Your family has been calling staff members, even me, with troubling accusations. Heat burns my cheeks. Of course they'd go this far. They've contacted every department head, he continues. What can we do to support you? The word support stuns me. Emily, you've been here 11 years. You're one of our most dedicated nurses, he says gently. Family should protect, not exploit. Your family here. Something in me cracks. After days of holding everything in, his unexpected kindness undoes me. Tears slip down my cheeks. I'm sorry, I whisper, reaching for a tissue. Don't apologize, Dr. Wilson says firmly, sliding a box toward me. Take some time. Tell me what's going on. The truth spills out. Years of saving. The false foreclosure, forged papers, betrayal. Dr. Wilson listens without interrupting, his expression hardening. Take emergency leave, he orders when I finish. With pay. I'll arrange coverage. I can't ask for special treatment. You didn't ask. I offered, he replies. Take care of yourself first. The ICU will be here when you're ready. Walking back to the nurse's station, I feel strangely lighter. My family tried to isolate me, but they miscalculated. For every person they've turned against me, others have stepped in to help. Deborah meets me in the corridor. Your cousin Sarah called. She's gathering documents for court. And Michael left a message. He's filing a Ellie's pendants and temporary restraining order today. She hands me message slips. Also, the team made a schedule. Someone will be with you whenever you need. My throat tightens. You didn't have to. We protect our own, Deborah says simply. That evening, the apartment hallway is unusually quiet. Sorting through my mail, I notice them. My parents, sitting on the floor outside my door like forgotten parcels. Father rises first, face tired. Your mother hasn't slept in days over this. Mother gets up slowly, her eyes red but calculating. After everything we gave up for you? I unlock the door without replying, but Father blocks the way. Emmy, please just talk to us. There's something almost genuine in his voice, but I've heard too many false promises. I meet his gaze. I have the original documents, I say steadily. I knew there hadn't been a foreclosure. The hallway filled with a heavy silence. Mother's expression tightened, while Father's face showed the first trace of shame I'd ever seen. His shoulders slumped under the weight of my words. Jessica told me it was only paperwork, he muttered. That you'd understand it was for the family. Don't put this on Jessica, Mother shot back, though her voice lacked strength. I'll see you both in court, I said, moving past them into my apartment. The door closed with a quiet click that felt more final than a slam. My phone buzzed with a message from Michael. Good news. The court approved the temporary restraining order. Another message followed. Sarah found something. The notary who signed the forged documents is Jessica's college friend. I sank onto the couch, absorbing the information. Piece by piece, their plan was falling apart. Criminal charges now seemed likely. I replied, I won't push for charges if they cooperate. Not out of kindness, but efficiency. I don't want a long fight. I just want my house back and to cut ties. Later that evening, I sat in Sarah's garden with a box of family photos, summers at the lake, Christmas mornings, my graduation, memories of a family before greed destroyed it. Sarah found me there as dusk softened her garden. You're allowed to grieve the family you thought you had, she said, sitting beside me. I kept giving more, hoping to earn their love, I whispered, tracing a faded photo of us smiling together. But it was never enough. It never would be. She placed her hand over mine. Some people can never be filled, Em. I closed the photo box with a deep breath, putting away the family that never really existed. Tomorrow, Michael and I would plan our legal strategy. He mentioned a possible civil theft claim with triple damages over $60,000 plus penalties. I don't care about their money, I told Sarah as we went inside. I just want my house. They hired Blackwell, she warned. He's aggressive. So am I answered. Especially when it comes to what's mine. My phone rang with an unknown number. I almost ignored it but answered. Emily? The voice was hesitant, familiar. Tom? Jessica's boyfriend. Sarah raised her brows as I put him on speaker. I didn't realize what they did to you, Tom said. I want to help. Why? I asked. Because I was there when your mother and Jessica talked about the forged documents. This isn't right. I can't stay silent. You'd testify? I pressed. Yes, he said firmly. I'll tell the court everything. After the call, I turned to Sarah. For the first time in weeks, I felt calm. Everything had shifted. By Thursday, the courthouse loomed with marble pillars and echoing halls. Still, I stood straight beside Michael as we entered courtroom 3. My ICU badge remained pinned to my blouse, a reminder of who I was beyond this conflict. Ready? Michael asked, his briefcase holding weeks of careful preparation. I nodded, scanning the room. Jessica sat in the front row, her pregnancy now visible in a fitted dress. Mother dabbed her eyes while father stared straight ahead. Judge Harriman looked over her glasses as we approached. Sullivan versus Sullivan. Property dispute with alleged falsified documents. Michael presented our evidence with steady precision, placing documents before the judge. Your Honor, we have proof of forged signatures, fraudulent notarization, and intentional misrepresentation. The judge compared my genuine mortgage signature with the clumsy forgery on the quitclaim deed. You are the sole mortgage holder. She asked. Yes, Your Honor. I paid the $182,000 down payment and signed for the mortgage. Jessica's attorney, polished in an expensive suit, rose. Ms. Sullivan intended this as a gift to her family. Her sister is expecting a child. Mr. Blackwell, the judge interrupted. Pregnancy does not justify fraud. His face reddened. My client was unaware of any irregular paperwork. I stayed calm, though my heart raced. When he implied I was punishing an unborn child, Michael tensed beside me. This isn't about my niece or nephew, I said firmly. It's about an attempt to steal my life savings. 2 hours later, we left with an extended restraining order and a trial date. The first real win. That evening, Sarah called. Emily, check Facebook. Your mother's gone public. On my screen appeared her post. A tearful plea about her selfish daughter taking a pregnant sister's home, alongside an old photo of her holding Jessica as a child. While I stood apart. She's always known how to play the victim, I whispered. By morning, the local newspaper publishes a photo of Jessica holding her stomach, with claims that I've changed beyond recognition since receiving my promotion at the hospital. Father approaches 3 of my coworkers in the hospital parking lot, urging them to convince Emmy to reconsider. But then something unexpected unfolds. Tom, Jessica's boyfriend, comments on Mother's post. The truth isn't being told here. Within hours, Sarah shares county records showing no foreclosure ever existed on my parents' original home. Dr. Wilson highlights my years of service. including holidays I worked so others could be with their families. The community begins paying attention. Michael notes during our strategy call, people recognize integrity when they see it. The hospital releases a statement firmly supporting me. The neighborhood association where the house is located voices concern about property values if fraudulent transfers are allowed. At the second hearing, scheduled Monday, the bank officer testifies that I alone applied for the mortgage. Jessica's friend breaks down under questioning, admitting she placed the notary seal without witnessing any signatures. During a recess, Father approaches me in the hallway, shoulders slumped. Your mother went too far. I should have stopped this. For the first time, I see not malice but weakness in him, cowardice that let this happen. In the courthouse lobby, Jessica and Tom argue in hushed but sharp tones. When she grabs his arm, he pulls away and walks out. My family begins to splinter. Mother stops attending hearings, sending only her lawyer. Jessica hires her own legal counsel, separating from our parents. Their united stance collapses under the truth. Michael delivers the update with quiet certainty. The judge's preliminary ruling favors your ownership claim. They have no legal grounds. The house is yours. That afternoon, their lawyer offers a settlement. Return the deed if I drop all charges. Not enough, Michael responds on my behalf. Full restoration of ownership and payment of all legal fees. Later that evening, as I wash hospital antiseptic from my hands, my phone vibrates. Jessica's name flashes with a message that makes me freeze. We need to talk. Alone. I stare at the words, water still running. After everything, the lies, the manipulation, the attacks, she wants to meet. The old Emily might have rushed to respond. The new Emily dries her hands carefully, weighing her answer like she does with critical patience. On Wednesday morning, pounding at my door echoes through the apartment. I stop, coffee mug halfway up, recognizing the rhythm. 3 sharp knocks, pause, 2 more. Mom's knock, Emmy, open up, we need to talk. Her voice is loud enough for neighbors to hear. I set my mug down, breathing as Dr. Wilson once taught me. The clock reads 7:14 a.m. Of course they came early, before my shift. When I open the door, they surge in like a wave. Mom's eyes are swollen, mascara streaked. Jessica stands behind, one hand on her belly, noticeably larger than before. Dad lingers on the edge, his face showing practiced worry. The neighbors are watching. I say quietly, stepping back. Let them, Mom cries, moving inside anyway. Everyone should see what you're doing to this family. Jessica dabs her eyes dramatically. The baby kicked all night. The stress is too much. Dad closes the door and leans in. This is destroying your mother's health. Her blood pressure is soaring. They spread out in my small living room. Mom near the window, tears catching the light. Jessica on the sofa, Dad with arms folded, a coordinated attempt. Your father could lose his job over this, Mom declares. His boss is close friends with our lawyer. Jessica nods. Everyone at the hospital is talking. Dr. Renner says staff are choosing sides. Dragging this through court will ruin us all, Dad adds. Legal costs will break the family. I listen to their threats, noting the rehearsed delivery, the quick glances to gauge my reaction. For years, I've monitored patients, watching the shift from panic to acceptance. I recognize the same signs in my family now, their rising desperation, their coordinated effort. Would you like some coffee? I ask evenly. My calmness unsettles them. They exchange uncertain looks. We didn't come for coffee, Jessica snaps. I know why you came. I walk to my desk, where a manila folder rests perfectly centered. But before you say more, you should see what I have. The folder lands on the coffee table with a sharp sound. Mom flinches. I lay out documents one by one. This is the original warranty deed with my signature. I tap the paper, and this is the quitclaim deed with a signature that looks like mine, but I never signed it. Mom starts to speak, but I raise my hand. Silence falls instantly, a power I didn't know I had until now. Here's a certified handwriting analysis confirming the forgery. Another paper joins the row. These are my bank statements showing every mortgage payment since closing. With each document, Mom's face pales further. Jessica shifts uncomfortably, eyes darting toward the door. County records show there was never a foreclosure. The paper lands crisply, and this is a statement from Jessica's friend, admitting she notarized fraudulently. Dad sinks into a chair, hands shaking. Finally, here's Tom's sworn affidavit. detailing how this plan was made, dates, conversations, everything. Jessica's phone buzzes. She reads, face draining. The prosecutor has copies of everything, I say quietly. Silence presses in like weight. Emmy, you must understand, Mom begins, voice soft and sugary. We were only trying to... You didn't just try to take my house, I cut in, steady. You took my trust. Jessica's phone buzzes again. Her hands tremble. Tom says the police came. They're asking about the notary. Her voice rises, panicked. He's leaving me. He says he can't trust me. Mom's mask cracks. What have you done? She snaps, voice sharp now. Dad stares at the evidence, whispering, criminal charges? Fraud, maybe jail time? Jessica's voice climbs higher. Mom, you said this was fine. You've always been independent, Emmy. Mom pleads again, reaching for me. What Jessica needs isn't mine to give anymore. I answer, pulling away. I return with a document bearing the court seal. This is a signed settlement agreement. If accepted, no further criminal charges will follow. You wouldn't send your mother to jail, Mom says, though her voice wavers now. I didn't want to, I reply honestly. That's why I'm offering this choice. Dad reads the settlement terms aloud. Full restoration of property rights to Emily Sullivan, along with coverage of all legal expenses. A 90-day no-contact clause follows. His voice breaks slightly. Jessica's face collapses. What about the baby? Where will we stay? She asks. The same place you lived before trying to take my house, I reply, extending a pen. They sign an order, Dad first, Jessica next, then Mom, her name etched in a sharp, resentful scrawl. The sound of ink on paper feels like the close of something I can't quite define. When they finally leave, the apartment feels unnaturally spacious. I sink onto the couch, and only then do my hands begin to shake, adrenaline rushing in late. The phone rings. Michael's name flashes across the screen. Congratulations, he says when I share the outcome. The house is officially yours again. I glance at the signed settlement on my table. So why don't I feel like celebrating? A gentle knock breaks my thoughts. Sarah appears, holding a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. Because winning doesn't erase betrayal, she says softly, stepping inside. I drift to the window, watching the city stretch out in morning light. Streets alive with people carrying their private struggles. I need to decide what comes next. I whisper more to myself than to her. The settlement papers remain on my table, secure but offering no peace. In the glass reflection, I see not just myself, but the outline of a woman becoming stronger, though marked by a wound victory alone cannot mend. The for sale sign sways in the breeze as I walk the realtor through the house one last time. Sunlight pours through spotless windows, highlighting hardwood floors that hold no warmth for me. I never planned to live here, I tell Marjorie, the silver-haired realtor who has managed everything with quiet efficiency. The closing price of $395,000 will cover the mortgage and restore my savings. She smiles knowingly. Sometimes the best investment is your peace of mind. 3 months after the legal battle ended, I'm signing papers for a $310,000 cottage in Greeley. The modest 2-bedroom with its wraparound porch and mature maples speaks to me in ways the larger home never did. With steady hands, I press pen to paper. No family hovering, no hidden motives, only my decision. Congratulations. Miss Sullivan, the attorney says, sliding the last document across the table. Thank you, I reply, my voice unwavering. 2 weeks later, laughter fills my new living room. Sarah raises her glass. To Emily, who showed us all what courage looks like. This housewarming is nothing like that night at Jessica's. Dr. Wilson relaxes in my reading chair, his deep laugh punctuating Michael's animated courthouse story. Colleagues gather around the kitchen island I personally chose, helping themselves to food they brought in celebration. To chosen family, I answer, lifting my glass. Those who stand with you in truth. Golden light filters through windows I selected, casting warmth on walls painted in colors of my own choosing. Every detail reflects decisions made for myself. No compromises, no hidden sacrifices. Sarah helps me hang a watercolor in the hallway. Michael pretends to measure with exaggerated precision. 2 millimeters higher on the left, he teases. In your dreams, Sarah shoots back, nailing it perfectly on the first try. Dr. Wilson approaches with a carefully wrapped box. An early retirement gift, he says, handing it to me. Inside rests an antique brass nursing lamp, its patina carrying stories of generations past. For your study, he explains. A reminder that caring for others begins with caring for yourself. Later, Amanda, the newest ICU nurse, helps gather plates. Her shoulders slump as she admits her parents disapprove of her career choice. They wanted me in law school, she says softly. Sometimes I wonder if I'm letting them down. I hear the familiar weight in her voice. Your worth isn't defined by their approval, I tell her, words drawn from my own hard-earned experience. Trust what calls to you, her eyes widen. I never thought of it that way. After the guests leave, I carry a tray of seedlings to the garden. As the sun dips below the horizon, I kneel in the soil, planting perennials that will bloom year after year. My hands move steadily, setting roots into fertile ground. Among the evening mail, I spot Jessica's handwriting. Inside are photos of my niece, her cheeks flushed with innocence. Hello, little one, I whisper, feeling no bitterness toward this blameless child. The next morning, I hang a small embroidered sign in the entryway. Family is earned, not given. Beside it grows a wall of photographs. Sarah laughing by the lake. Michael beaming after our case. My hospital team at last year's Christmas party. Among them, one frame remains empty, a note inside, for whatever comes next. Standing in the doorway of my home, silhouetted by warm light, I feel a burden lift. For the first time in years, my shoulders carry only their own weight. My lips form words meant only for me, and for these walls that now truly belong to me.